And if he would have hit her back, I would have been like, yeah, that's how badly she was beating the crap out of him.
At least like do something to get the person away.
He didn't put his hands on her. I was like, that
then
guy.
he did something really bad.
No.
Like if he's just letting the
finally the cop showed up, like 4 cop cars showed up.
Yeah, he did something really bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Welcome to Guys We...
Hello, everybody, all the people in all the places. How you doing? Welcome to an exciting episode of Guys We Hugged.
It's the Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
Welcome to the show.
You got a problem? Write us. Write us about it. Also, if you want to do this, if you're listening to this the day it comes out, we'll see you tonight at 6 p.m. at New York Comedy Club for Corinne Fisher's very first fundraising event. It's going to be a live episode of the podcast. If tickets aren't sold out, we'll be panicking. So buy one and come. Buy one and come.
And I know it's a more confusing website because we have to go through the NYC fundraising website, right? So the minimum donation to get in is $49. And if you want as one person to buy multiple tickets instead of having to have everyone in your party do that, just multiply 49 times however many tickets you want. You don't have to worry about fees or anything like that. It's just 49 times the amount. And then click other and write that amount, and then you'll be good for that amount of tickets.
Correct. So we'll see you there.
It sounds confusing. It's actually not that confusing, but it's just not the regular New York City, New York Comedy Club website because we're not allowed to take funds that way.
Different laws, baby. If you want to write us, it's SorryAboutLastNightShow at gmail.com. Send us your stories. Send us your problems. Today's subject line, friends find out they were included in AI-generated porn. My personal nightmare. Hi, ladies. Long-time fucker, first time writing in. Listening to the stories everyone emails in has been something I look forward to every week. Fellow fuckers, you have no idea how many folks might be going through what you are going through. There have been some weeks the advice from Corinne and Krystyna was exactly what I needed to hear. So thanks for sharing your stories and C&K for the words of advice. However, I don't believe I've heard anything like this one. Long story very short, I have an acquaintance whose divorce has been put on blast because his wife found AI-generated porn on his computer that included the faces, likeliness of their colleagues and friends, including some of my work colleagues. Oh, that's a fun combo. What's in that folder, honey? Yep, just as creepy as it sounds. Yeah, I mean, guys, I feel like guys jerk off to your boyfriend or husband's going to jerk off to your friends more than he's going to jerk off to porn at this point. That's, I feel. From my understanding, the deep fakes weren't circulated or uploaded anywhere, and his wife let everyone who she recognized know that they were included in it.
I don't think that was a good idea.
I don't think so either. I probably could. If I was one of the gals, I probably could have gone without knowing that.
Yeah, it could have just been deleted because as long as it's not circulated, I mean, like the larger issue here is it's like a whole. It's like a revenge porn kind, like is it revenge porn? Isn't it because the person didn't consent to having their face in it? Like it is very messy.
But yeah, how can you be controlling people's fantasies? But then when they make their fantasy an actual digital, I'm going to say art piece, but it's not art.
Yeah, I mean, if it was circulated, I would sue.
Yeah.
No questions asked. But like, privately, it's like, okay, well, if you just didn't tell everyone.
Yeah, it's either in your head or it's in your head and then you ask an AI app to make it happen. But then you have to upload photos of the people. Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's gotten really messy.
Yeah, I mean, people make deep fakes like of me all the time, but not sexual ones. Just like me as Wednesday Addams.
Did I show you the guy that said, I always wonder what you and Corinne would look like naked, and here you go, and he sent us a picture of me and you naked?
No.
I got so mad. Oh my God, I got so mad. Anyway, it's gotten really messy.
Joke's on him. The fake one was probably better.
We looked great. We did look great. Our tits were perky and...
Guess that's not what I look like after I just ate a block of Velveeta cheese that I cooked in a crock pot for 2 hours.
I should have responded to that photo with an AI version of us just like downing Taco Bell with guts, spear guts. Shit. Hindsight, right? Anyway, okay, so it's gotten really messy. I can't imagine how violated they feel. And it's deeply disturbing. This is the reality we live in. Also, like, boo, is your imagination that weak that you can't just fucking picture it?
Yeah.
When I heard the story, it did make me think, What would Corinne and Krystyna think of AI porn for private use? That's a tricky one.
My thought is we shouldn't know about it if everyone just shuts the fuck up.
It's like if you work at a shoe store and you have a foot fetish. If you shut the fuck up about it
Correct.
and you're not weird,
Correct.
Yeah, put my shoe on. Thanks. Have fun in your head. I don't give a shit.
That's about how I feel too.
Don't make me feel uncomfortable.
Everyone needs to shut the fuck up.
That is the motto of 2025. Everyone needs to shut the fuck up.
Which is really hard when you're running for mayor. So.
Yeah, well, you can't shut the fuck up.
I can't.
There has to be some voices for the people. Bryn Fisher, what advice would you have for someone who finds out they were included in AI-generated porn? I'm sure this instance and what Megan Thee Stallion went through won't be the last we hear of it. So who knows who might need to hear your voice on it this week. Thank you.
I'm going to step in and say what we're going through and what Megan Thee Stallion is going through are not the same thing.
I mean, there's some similarities.
That's what I'm going to step in right now
fans,
and say
different amounts.
This is not at all on the same level of what Megan Thee Stallion went through.
I'm assuming
nice that we have the confidence in ourselves.
I'm assuming she was in an AI generated porn and it got circulated.
I actually didn't even know that because I was too. She got shot, she
got shot in the face.
That seemed more pressing.
Yeah, that one I would remember more.
The AI porn got buried.
Yeah, I mean, if you get shot in the face, by the time someone makes AI porn about you, you're just happy to be alive and have that hot face back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure this instance and what Megan Thee Stallion went through won't be the last we hear of it. Thank you for everything over the years, including the happy birthday video and the voicemail you sent me many years ago. That boyfriend who got a hold of you to request them is my husband now. Our 9-year anniversary is this September. Wait, I was just thinking, is that the guy that asked us and then complained? When you were telling me the story from earlier today, I was making... I thought of that.
I don't think it was that guy. Okay. I don't know. I don't really know, though.
I don't either. Well, I know you don't really have thoughts on, like, if somebody generated AI porn of you and circulated it, how would you feel?
Oh, that's disgusting, and I would sue them.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
Can you? You can sue them, right?
It depends, I believe, what state you live in. I think the porn law is state by state. California was one of the first, but that's because celebrities, most celebrities live there. And I think revenge porn started being a thing. I mean, do I want to say it was like the Black China, like Rob Kardashian is one of the first kind of things I heard about, I think.
I remember that.
If I'm pulling from my memory correctly.
Yeah.
Wait. There was yes, I was remembering this right. There's a thing with Taylor Swift where people were making it of her, and then there was a bill introduced last February that would make it illegal.
On a federal level?
Yes.
Oh. Wow. Okay. So there you go. Well, there you go.
Because I was illegal. They had started doing it state by state, several years ago. So it's good that they just did a federal.
If you make it and don't circulate it, is it still illegal?
I would guess if your computer had to be seized for an additional, like some reason, and they found that, then that would be, yes, a hit against you. But your computer would have to be seized. So as long as you didn't do anything else, there should be no reason your computer's getting... Like, if your computer's getting seized, you did something extremely bad.
Yeah.
And so... That if you had bestiality or exactly like child stuff on there, that then you would get a hit for every single one you had.
Ugh, 3 strikes you're out, baby. I would lose my shit. And this is something that you can't control somebody else doing. You can't control people fantasize about. But I'm sorry, men not all men, but you can't. It's just you don't allow yourself to do this. Just think about it in your head. Think of what it would be like to fuck the person you want to fuck in your head, like other people do. It's not that hard.
Well, men are just so used to having ownership over women's bodies that I don't even think they are understanding that this is a loss of autonomy. I don't even think they're thinking that all the way through. They're just me like boobs.
Clearly, right.
But it's okay, you have to use your brain better. You have to.
Yeah.
I know your brain. I know your brain works.
Yeah. You've ran the world for up until now, and it's not going great, by the way. It's not going great. Unless you're a part of the Eagles team. Hey, go Birds, am I right?
Oh yes, congratulations.
Thank you. Oh my, what a game. What a game.
It was
Blue Ivy was there.
It was kind of boring because the Eagles just won so
hard,
easily.
Oh, so hard. But I remember when we went to the Super Bowl at Mike Coxcarelli's house.
I do.
However many years ago, the Eagles were playing.
That was only 2 years ago.
Was it?
That was 2023.
I thought so. I was like, that's either 2 or 3.
Yeah, because it was the same Super Bowl lineup 2023.
Oh, right, the Chiefs.
Yeah, it was Chiefs Eagles. Yeah, last year was Chiefs 49ers.
Right.
I believe. The Chiefs are in it a ton. The Eagles are also in it a ton. Like it's like the same couple of teams who end up going, you know.
Yeah.
But the Eagles last time they won was like 2018.
Yeah, they only won one other Super Bowl title. So this is their second ever Super Bowl title.
Oh, really? Because I was like, it was pretty recently.
This is their second ring, yeah. Yeah, go Birds, baby. Anyway, yeah, don't make AI porn. It's illegal, and you can just use your imagination. Okay, so hope that helped, writer. Thanks for writing that in. That was a really interesting premise of a situation. Promo, let's see. I'm going to be, I don't have an exact date yet, but I'm going to be in London, England in April, probably April 8th. But I'm getting details on putting together a show in London, the only other city I love that I would ever consider living in. Yeah, so, and I'm also going to be in Naples, Florida in April. So I'm going to be I'll post those exact dates and places soon. But just FYI, put it in your calendar.
Oh, and then if you want to listen to Without a Country, we live stream most Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Whether or not the show is live, you'll get a show at Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. Just make sure to subscribe to the YouTube at Without a Country. And you can also join the Patreon. It's patreon.com/withoutacountry. It's as little as $6 a month, and you get a lot of extra show. Like I did an hour extra show for the Patreon subscribers this past week. It's fun. You'll learn about politics. You learn about what's going on in the world, New York City, internationally, and you don't have to scroll through 800 separate articles or worry about taking in misinformation on Instagram. So I highly recommend it.
Speaking of the show, last night I was going to bed. And we live on a very quiet street in Long Island City, very quiet. But there is a bar across the street that's only open certain days, but not late. But because it's sports bars, because it was a Super Bowl, there's all these people out. We were going to bed at midnight, something sensible like that. And I just heard, I was trying to meditate in my headphones, and I heard just like woman screaming. And Colin had gotten up and was looking, and I saw him go, "Oh shit!" And I was like, "What?" And so I got up, and this chick was punching the shit out of her boyfriend.
Oh,
in a way, those it's a type of situation where your fight or flight instincts are sparked. You could predict how you think you would act, but you don't really know. And I will say, I like opened my window and I was like, oh my God, this girl. It's like she took boxing classes her whole life. She punched. And I got so mad. I'm like, don't you fucking touch. I got just as mad as if it was a guy punching a girl. And I was like, that's good. I am, okay. I do want men to be protected as much as women. Anybody from violence. Like I had the exact same feelings in my body if that was a chick getting punched in the face. And then this guy came down, this girl, she kept punching him and then crying. And then falling to the floor.
My first thought was, what did he do?
Well, but I actually didn't think that at first, but he did. He was doing something.
100%. There's no, that's because, but, and then I stopped myself and I was like, well, if a woman cheated, the boyfriend was punching her, that's unacceptable.
Bad. Yeah.
So this is also unacceptable.
Exactly. But people cheat. You don't punch someone in the face.
I knew it just wasn't. For no reason.
It wasn't for no reason.
Yeah.
But and then this guy in the neighboring building came out and he's like, what the, you just punch him? And he was bleeding. The guy was bleeding everywhere.
Jesus Christ.
And it was one of those situations where I'm like, he didn't even flinch when he got punched. And if he would have hit her back, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. That's how badly she was beating the crap out of him.
At least do something to get the person away.
He didn't put his hands on her. I was like, that guy.
He did something really bad.
No.
If he's just letting the...
Finally the cop showed up, 4 cop cars showed up.
Yeah, he did something really bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I've seen a lot of domestic violence disputes on the streets of New York City. It's been a while, but I've seen them, and it's always violence against a woman, and I've yet to seen a man... being beat up by a woman. And
maybe he touched her kid or something though.
Oh, I mean, Well,
It sounds brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. But the thing was, she was punching him, and then she was wasted, obviously, and then she was crying, and then going like, "I'm so sorry." I was literally witnessing the cycles of abuse, not and not knowing at all what the circumstances were behind in their personal life. But she was punching him so hard, he was bleeding, and then she was crying like, "Oh, baby, I'm so sorry," and hugging him. And I was like, "This is so confusing." But then I'm like, "Wow, chicks can do that too." Chicks could do that too.
Yeah, but I mean, that sounds like she might have some kind of a mental
I think
issue.
so. I think so. Either he did something fucked up, or she needs some help. I mean, she needs help regardless.
She needs help regardless, yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Oh, but also one of the things I want to talk to
Speaking of people who need help.
Bianca Censori, dude. Okay. There's this article in the Daily Beast. Is Bianca Censori crying out for attention or for help? When I saw. This is Kanye West's wife, if you guys don't know.
This woman is in a cult, and there's only
Yeah.
one member, and it's her, and there's one leader, and it's Kanye West.
Yes. Having watching rapper Kanye West and his wife Bianca Censori get kicked out of the Grammy
I'm sorry,
Awards.
I need to get this ad of them making sandwiches out of cucumber slices out because it's triggering me. I'm sorry, I just watched someone wipe hummus on a limp cucumber and then be like, "Eat this." Stop.
Though West, of course, denies this happened, the public should ask, is Censori okay? And why in the world are we all watching West's erratic, problematic behavior and acting like it or he is acceptable?
I'm not. I stopped
gross.
following him a long time ago.
Yeah, me too.
A long time ago. I mean,
but I saw the clip of them on the red carpet and then him, obviously being fully clothed for the dozen times that this has happened where he's completely clothed and she's totally naked.
Yeah.
And he ordered her to take her clothes off, and she did, and she looked like she was either drugged,
yeah, she does look like a drug.
or she left her body the second she met that guy and just is going on with the motions.
She's
because
disassociated. Yeah.
yeah,
She has dead eyes.
absolutely, and so does he. I mean, he has evil eyes, I would say.
Well, I mean, he's just in mania.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was interesting to hear you talk about bipolar disorder a week or two ago. That is what it is. It's like you think you're king of the world.
Yeah, that's one of the main or easiest ways to tell if someone is undiagnosed is if they just walk around truly like they are the best person ever.
Yeah.
Kanye is difficult though because he's is
talented.
so talented, right?
So it's confusing.
The other people I know with bipolar disorder aren't, so it's much easier diagnosis.
If you're bipolar and you don't got a talent, or you think you do but you really don't, what are you going to do?
Much simpler diagnosis.
The 28-year-old, married the 46-year-old Kanye West in a non-legally binding ceremony in January.
I didn't realize that she was only 28. I thought she was at least in her 30s. That's really sad.
I think she's 31 now or 30 years old now.
Oh, okay.
This is another article talking about her friend's concerns. Things came to a head this week after the two were observed in a compromising position on an Italian water taxi, resulting from the couple reportedly being banned from this water taxi company.
Well, it's also so weird because she looks exactly like Kim
I
Kardashian.
I know.
Come on. She's
molded. It's creepy.
She's stunning, but it's,
Yeah, but at that point, and it was so interesting watching her. I watched that clip, the red carpet clip happen in real time. And it was so, I had a very visceral reaction because, when women were more clothed at the AVN Awards than this chick. It's not artistic.
Easily.
It's gross and it's abuse. It's gross because it's so abusive. Oh my God. And it's just you can't do anything about it. It's not your life. But
they got kicked out of the Grammys.
Yeah, which is good.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so freaky and gross and disgusting and disturbing. And it also makes it equally confusing that this person is talented. Why? People with talent who are also monsters, there's a lot of them floating around. It's very confusing.
Yeah, and then it's hard to separate which parts of Kanye's actions are his bipolar disorder and which parts are him being a monster.
Yeah. Yep. It's wild.
Yeah. It's not
Wolf
good.
in sheep's clothing.
Not good.
How you doing, girl? How's running for mayor?
Great. Quite a weekend. I was like, what did we do this, starting Friday? We had a big a lot of things on the docket. We went to a rally just to see what was going on. It ended up being a small rally.
Yeah.
But that's
very small.
you know.
Hey, I'm always interested in people organizing for a cause that they believe in. I always think there's something interesting behind that, and to kind of like observe, why are you passionate about what you're passionate about?
Yeah, well, Eric Adams introduced a new initiative for the NYPD called Quality of Life, and this group was concerned that it was just another way for him to kind of over-police the city and especially target people of color and like immigrants who own food carts. And so I was like, okay, let me see. I just, I was like, I'm not sure if I support this. Based on reading it, I was like, I think I agree with some of this. I don't agree with all of it, but I want to show up. And like, because you can watch the rally, you don't need to be a part of it. And I was like, I'll observe what's going on here. And then, we'll see if we want to talk to the people, if I want to speak, if I want to participate. A rally is not successful when you have trouble finding it, even though you go to the exact address they put on Instagram. So I will say that. Second thing,
I almost asked the cops, excuse me, can you tell me where the protest is against you guys?
Both Krystyna and my boyfriend thought that it was a good idea to ask the cop. Like my boyfriend was like pulling
Surely they know.
Pulling into one police plaza, and he goes, what do I say to the cop when I pull in? I go, nothing, because we're not going to try to drive into one police plaza.
That would be interpreted as terrorism.
Protest the police.
Yep.
So turn the car around.
Yeah.
And and then we finally found it because I was just kind of tracking them on their Instagram, and there was apparently there was a police presence ready for them, and then they said on Instagram they're not ready for us, and I said I think they're more than ready.
They were over prepared for you, actually, and then they went back inside because they saw how many of you there were.
That being said, I never want to make fun of anybody for going out and speaking about what they believe in. I think that's a cool way to spend a Friday night. And I hope they get more people on their side. Again, after watching them speak, I was like, I think this is like a little too anarchist for me.
Yeah.
I'm not
defunding the police is just never anything that's going to actually work, and I don't think that's what people actually want, because they want to feel like they're being protected.
Well, the issue is, and again, like Corinne Fisher for mayor, God, it's hard because you have to keep saying it, but it's like it brings up this icky feeling, and the reason that I just have so many issues with the entertainment business. That being said, I really, really believe that I would be a good mayor.
Yes.
So I have to keep saying it. But like, that's why part of my platform is specifically tailored to heal the relationship between the NYPD and the citizens of New York, because that's what I think is like the root of the issue. Yeah. The police have given up. They
after the one I knew that used to work at Apple. Yeah. After the George Floyd protests, I remember, I think I told you this. I saw him. He was, my precinct was where I lived at the time. He worked there, and I was like, "Oh, dude, what's up?" It was so good to see him. I really liked this guy. And he said he was retiring early because he's getting shit thrown at him. He's just being called a fucking pig every day. And I knew him for years, and he was so sweet. I didn't know everything about him, but he was kind and sweet and like very funny, and kind of like would be like your kid's favorite uncle, like a really genuinely kind person. And I'm like, and that was the first time I realized, oh yeah, getting in a police officer's face and calling them a pig, you're not humanizing the person you're talking to.
You also don't know like why the person signed up to begin with. Like exactly. I do believe many police officers signed up because they wanted to do good. And I think it's yet another instance, as is almost everything I've ever experienced in life, where when you become a part of whatever group, like you have a reason that you wanted to become a part of the group, right? And then you become a part of the group and you realize, wow, there's a lot about this group that I didn't know before I wanted to. And that's true of politics. That's true of being a comedian.
Podcasting.
It's true of everything I've ever done. It's even true of being a woman, okay? I mean, I was born into that, but like there's a bunch of stuff going on in any group of people that like will personally probably not reflect the reasons why you got into that group. Yes. That doesn't mean that you can't still hold the reasons that you got into that group in your heart and try to be of service in that way. And I've tried to apply that to the entertainment business. I've tried to apply that to being a woman. I am, working on applying that to politics. Again, it's been like 2 months and there's already been so many instances where disgusting things could have happened. And I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to. I don't owe anyone any favors. And that's the biggest reason you should vote for me. I don't owe anyone jack shit.
Yeah. Just want to do right by the people of New York City.
Vote for the mayor who walks through the streets. I'm so over the top. I was like walking because I started walking through New York City when I decided to do this as if I'm already mayor.
Yes, Dad, you should.
Not to manifest it or anything like that though, because I'm like, let me start like thinking about these changes in real time, right?
Yeah.
As if I'm crying. I'm like that person needs help immediately.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be I don't know how we're gonna manage this in some way. So that's what. So yeah, we went to the rally. Kind of a bust, but you live, you learn. And again, I think the part when I mentally checked out is when they started saying oink oink piggy piggy, and I was like, I don't.
You want to empower people.
Right.
You want to empower people to do the best job that they can do in whatever the job is, and especially if that job involves carrying a gun. You want that person to have good self-esteem and good reflexes and a good handle on their emotions. And saying oink oink piggy piggy will chip away at even the most self-actualized person.
Right. And it's like, so my idea, and I've had this idea for a long time, is that good police officers should be paid extremely well. It's a really tough job, right?
Yeah.
Literally, because you should be willing to put your life on the line at any moment, right? That's what you're agreeing to, basically, to serve the people of your community. So you should, if we expect people to do that bravely, they need to be being paid a lot.
Yeah.
But only the ones who are doing their jobs, right?
Yeah.
You can't be on your phones.
Don't text.
I think you need to show up for regular mental health checks. And I also think you need to, there's a physical standard that you need to meet. And, every year or every 2 years, I think you need to take this physical test. Normally, a year kind of goes by fast. So I'm like, maybe every 2 years, just because for the sake of taxpayers' money. Yeah. And it's like, how
maybe
out of
give
shape,
them a free gym membership
can you get in 2 years?
Challenge accepted.
I don't care how you meet these requirements, physical requirements, but you got to be meeting them. And I think this is something all New Yorkers agree on. We all see these people walking around. They're not physically fit. They cannot run after people that they need to run after, and they're not paying attention because they're on their phones.
Yeah, the cops on the subways. Every cop on the subway is on their phone, and I'm like, I highly doubt that all y'all are looking at where you got to report to next. You're looking at Instagram. I see it. I see your phone.
And I also went to a community meeting in my neighborhood to listen to someone who is running for city council in my district speak. And something that this is a person who's much older than me, and something he was talking about is how when he was younger, because he's a lifelong New Yorker, the police officers used to patrol the streets, and they would have a neighborhood that they were assigned to, and everyone in the neighborhood would know them, and they would patrol by foot. Whereas now the cops patrol by car. They call it cooping. They're two together. They're not paying attention, and they're not really getting out unless something actually, extreme is happening.
Yeah.
And so that's another way that the community members
distance from the cops.
Well, it's like the police officers can earn trust from community members if you have the same officer patrolling the blocks. He knows the people in the neighborhood. He knows, is this a repeat offender? Is this a person who I arrested last week? Because there's also a very high rate of recidivism right now, and that's a problem. That means that we're not doing something right as a city. If the same person is being arrested for the same category of crime 1, 2, 3 times in a small period of time, it's not okay.
It's almost like just putting somebody in a cage and yelling at them doesn't work. Also, that documentary I talked to you about where about the women who are all who were sexually assaulted went in, filed a police report, and then were all convinced. There was like 6 of them that were convinced to say that they lied about it. And you think about that and you go, what? No way. If I was sexually assaulted and I went in and I was brave enough to tell everybody, I wouldn't take it back. But then you see how easy it is to do that because you're scared, you're freaked out, and they keep you at the station for 12 hours. But part of the resolution to that type of problem was these women who were sexually assaulted and coerced into giving a false statement after they filed their initial report, taught classes to these police officers and said, this is what I went through and this is how it felt and this is what the cops did to me. And you watch the cops and they were crying because they were like, holy shit. And so they got to see the human side of their tactics that they've been told to instill. And then that dissolves that practice because of humanization. So everybody's a person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we forget.
Yeah. And as much as I do think, I do think there's a lot of problems in policing in America. How can there not be? It's an organization that was literally created to keep Black people
down.
Down after the slaves were freed. They were like, we can't just let the slaves be free. I mean, if you don't know, look it up.
It's literally the word slavery is in the Constitution.
I'm not making this up. That's why police exist. And so when that's the start of a group, how can it not continue to treat Black and brown people differently?
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. Yet people want to be safe. It's something that we're now accustomed to. Having, being able to call the police is something that makes us feel safe. But how can it be safe in a way that is just, you know?
If any New Yorker sees a Black man having a mental health crisis, we're not calling the cops. We're not calling the cops because we don't want the things that have historically happened for decades to be happening again.
And again, there are many other cities where you can have the option to call either the police or a mental health advocate, a social worker. And I want to implement it so that if you're in any of the 5 boroughs 24/7, just the same way as you could call the police or the fire department, you can also call a social worker to the scene if it's clear that the person is having a mental health crisis and does not need to be held at gunpoint.
Yeah. It's rare that they do. And also the cops in England, they don't even have guns. There's so many countries that the cops don't have guns and they're fine. There's a lot of stabbings.
Yeah.
But you can run from a stabber. It's hard to run from a bullet. Can't really outrun a bullet. You can outrun a knife, maybe.
You can run from a stabber.
You got to eat that protein, girl. Okay. Corinne for mayor. I'm very excited for you to win mayor.
And please visit CorinneFisher.com. Again, thank you. So we've been getting constant donations. Again, a lot of lower number of donations, and that's totally fine. We love that, especially if you're a New Yorker. Even $10, even if you barely like me, just $10 says, I think, I don't know if I like you or not, but I think that you should be able to run, which I think is a really strong sentiment. Like before I'm even worried about winning your vote, I would just want the ability to prove myself to you, right? That's step one. And to meet step one, I need money and I need to be able to get X amount of signatures, 2,250 to be exact.
Yes.
But that doesn't happen until February 25th.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
And so that's the first step. But yeah, a donation, if you have more to donate, that of course is super helpful because we are going against a lot of candidates who have, kind of been going at fundraising for like 3 months already. And so while, the donations have been consistent, it's definitely a grassroots organization. A couple of you have given a huge amounts of money. There is a CEO who gave me $2,100. And I just want to say thank you so much.
That's very helpful.
I was crying again when I got that. I was like, that's a lot of money to give a stranger. And I really appreciate that.
That's an honor.
But yeah, and like I said, it says everyone's occupation. So I'm like, oh, this is so fun. What do you do for a living?
Yeah, Guys listeners have very fascinating
jobs. They really do.
And it's been such an honor to get to know you guys. Also, too, when we collect those signatures, February 25th to April 2nd or 3rd, April 3rd, you have to be a registered Democrat currently residing in New York City. So the deadline is, if you're listening to this on Luminary today, go to NYC Votes.
This is the deadline if you bring it in person. The deadline was yesterday if you're doing it digitally. digitally. So if you want to bring it yourself to it's like, downtown where all the federal
You have to have
stuff,
a printer.
where all the municipal stuff is.
Yeah.
Well, or you can go to Kinko's. But
That's true. That's true. Or FedEx.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we're asking for your signatures, just know that the signatures we need that are required, that are going to count, you got to be a Democrat currently residing in New York City. So get your pens out, get ready, because we're going to be knocking on your door. Speaking of, guess who's knocking on today's door?
It's a comedian.
Yeah.
Today's guest.
Yeah, he's got like 20 abs and a gorgeous face, and he's funny, which is weird. Did you know men can be hot and funny? I had no idea. I found out today.
This feels like a male podcast introducing.
That's exactly what I was going for. Yeah. All right, guys. He's a stand-up comedian, and he's the host of the No Facts with Max show, which is a podcast you can listen to. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Max Mantikoff.